Hi, and welcome back to Purple Collar Life. In today's video, it's time to winterize the jet ski. Summer's starting to wind down. Unfortunately, we're getting some cold nights in the low 40s, and I don't want to chance that Sea-Doo sitting with water in it on a freezing cold night. So we're going to go ahead and winterize it today. Now, I made a video in the past of how to winterize these jet skis, but I found an easier way. So first we'll talk about what you need, then we'll talk about why this is a much easier and faster, and I think safer way to winterize your PWC. Okay, so let's talk about some of the components we'll need here to do the winterization. One of the first things you want to get, and I will put Amazon affiliate links to these products or ones similar to them. This is the XPS storage oil, and you're going to use this to spray down into the spark plugs, spray into the air intake. This is a key component of winterizing your PWC. Now this isn't cheap, but it's much cheaper than an engine rebuild, that's for sure. You're also going to need some RV antifreeze, so you can see I've got 4 gallons here. You're going to need some sections of hose. We've got those. You're going to need a bucket. And what's different this time, we're going to use this pump. I did get this at Harbor Freight. It's not expensive. Definitely doing this yourself saves you money versus taking it to a dealership or a mechanic. And we did that whole video in the past of how to winterize several other jet skis at my cousin Kyle's house, so you can refer to that video. I'm not going to go through every single step in this video, but I will show you the advantage of using this non-submersible transfer pump, and we'll just walk through the steps real quickly here. We're going to remove the seats to access the engine compartment. I do have a previous video about changing out these spark plugs, how to get in there, how to change the spark plugs. You're going to use that same process and spray this XPS down in the spark plug holes. But we are not going to cover that in this video. Like I said, we've got other videos about that. I'll put links to those up above and down in the description. We will be spraying that storage oil into the air intake right here. So I removed this line using an 8mm nut driver. So the next step here with our Sea-Doo, we'll start the engine up and run it just for a few seconds, then we'll turn the water on. We're just flushing fresh water through the system. Now you are going to have some water coming out the back here, so you want to be somewhere that it doesn't matter that water's coming out onto the floor. We have a drain here in our garage, and we have connected the freshwater line to this inlet port right here that's made to flush the engine and flush the system out. So while that was running, I did go ahead and spray some of this storage oil into the intake of the engine. Now we're going to do that again, but the next time we run the engine, instead of having the fresh water connected, we're going to put 4 gallons of RV antifreeze into this bucket. Nice clean bucket, but we're still going to use the filter. Then we'll use this non-submersible electric powered pump. We'll hook the end of that hose into the water inlet, the flush area of this Sea-Doo, and that's how we'll get that RV antifreeze into the water areas of this PWC. Now I have seen some people put the hose directly into the jug, and that is how I do it when I winterize the RV, but I'm afraid that we'd go through a gallon so fast and then be waiting and create an air gap in the hose between the first and second, second and third and fourth gallon. And if you're thinking, why does it take 4 gallons? It's because we've got to pump through all the sections of hose before it actually gets to the engine. So there is a little bit of waste there, but this RV antifreeze is not that expensive. And again, still cheaper than paying to have somewhere do this winterization process. Don't forget to check out that link up above and in the description of the full process, because in this one we're not going to be showing changing out the oil, connecting the battery to the tender, but those are all additional things you'll want to do as part of winterizing your PWC. If you live here in the climate like we do, where it gets cold and freezes in the wintertime. I know it's hard to see, but you can see the hose goes in here. There's a spot that it actually screws right into. It's threaded. So we will twist this hose into that threaded port. Now there is no on-off switch on this little pump, so you just have to connect, in our case, our extension cord to the pump to get it to start to pump. But we need to start the engine first. You want to have the engine running first before you send the water to it. But you got to be somewhat fast because you don't want it to run more than a few seconds. You can see we definitely did get antifreeze all through the areas we needed to. It's dripping out the bottom here, so that's a great sign to see that pink water coming out. I didn't use all of 4 gallons because I've done this before and I know it takes just a little bit more than 3 for me to have enough time. But time is of the essence when you're doing this. It all goes pretty fast. So let's walk through that process of the steps I took to winterize this very fast right there. So obviously took the seats off, disconnected that air intake and had the XPS storage oil ready to spray in. Ran it with fresh water for about a minute and a half, sprayed some of that storage oil in at that time. Disconnected the fresh water, got everything ready with our bucket and the RV antifreeze. Then started the engine really fast, came back, plugged in the little pump. While it was pumping that 3 gallons of antifreeze, I came up here, sprayed some more of the storage oil into that air intake right there. So it was feeding the air intake with that storage oil while the engine was running. Once I saw we were no longer pumping the RV antifreeze, I shut the engine off. Now this jet ski, as far as that section, is winterized and ready for winter. So what else will I be doing to winterize the jet ski? I'll be taking those 3 spark plugs out, spraying that storage oil down into the cylinders where the spark plugs go. I'll be disconnecting the battery, putting it on a battery tender, and then we usually leave this in the garage for winter time. So I'm actually just gonna scooch it back into its normal storage spot after I get all these tools and components that I use to winterize put away. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this a much easier process than trying to hand fill that antifreeze in the system. That pump really puts a lot of water out fast, pumps it all the way through the system. So whether you have a closed loop system like ours or an open loop system like a Kawasaki or a Yamaha, you're going to be able to see that pink fluid pumping through the outlets with enough rate to make sure you've winterized all those water areas of your PWC. Thanks for watching. Please give us a big thumbs up down below. Leave those comments for tips for others if you have even faster and easier and safer ways to do the winterization of your PWC. And we'll see you again the next time. Here is that pump we used. Notice it says do not run dry. And it does give you the directional arrow. You want your inlet on what we're showing here is the right side and your outlet on the left hand side.